Good evening, everybody. Welcome to the January 2022 edition of the monthly meeting of the Minnesota Woodworkers Guild. I'm Ed Noy, president of the Guild. We elected to do a Zoom meeting for January, February, and March this year for multiple reasons. The reason for tonight is the fact that our presenters are 150 miles away from Minneapolis, and it was a lot more convenient for them to join by Zoom than drive down in all this weather. In February, we're going to do one of our shop tours of members' shops. We did two of those during the height of the pandemic in 2020. It was a very popular program. So we're going to go ahead and do that here in February and also hopefully avoid some bad weather. And then coming up in March, we're going to have a program on using SketchUp for woodworking. And the presenter is going to be an expert, Dave Richards, who is a resident of Rochester. And he has a blog that he contributes to on the finewoodworking.com site. And I've been following Dave for a lot of years, and he really knows what he's talking about. So because he's in Rochester, we're also going to Zoom him in. Let's see. Yeah, if anybody, because everybody should be on mute, and please stay on mute until there's a need for you to make a verbal contribution. What we would prefer you do is if you need to make a contribution to the meeting, and by all means, feel free to, but send us a chat message here on Zoom and let us know what it is you want to address, and we can make time for you to do that. Kind of related to that, in this month's meeting announcement, I added a comment that about having people talk about what's on their bench. If you have something of interest, that's something that Dan Burke started in our monthly meetings a while back. It didn't gain a lot of momentum, but we thought we'd try that again tonight. I do have one member who has already notified me that they'd like to make a contribution, and we'll take care of that before we go into tonight's program. So just send a chat message if there's something you want to contribute, and we'll give you a few minutes of the meeting. Let's see. As always, be aware that the Guild has a very large number of corporate sponsors that provide great services for us and our members. We ask that you patronize their businesses, places like Woodcraft and Rockler and Holdall, who sells a lot of great commercial type of hardware. We have lumber companies, Forest Products, and Cywick Lumber, and just lots of. I think we've got almost 50 sponsors now. Just from our homepage, click on the little link on the left side that says discounts, and you can see what you can get at our various sponsors. We're getting just started here in the beginning of the year. The first major program we're going to have coming up will be the annual Northern Woods Exposition, which will be held in April. We have secured the Eden Prairie Center for the dates of April 21 through 24. Now, we realize we just had a show in October, but we're trying to get back on our April schedule. April isn't really that far off, and there's no reason for you to be outside unless you're really an avid skier. So spend some time in your workshop and put together a nice project that we can display at Eden Prairie Center the last weekend in April. Following from there, in September of next year, we will have what we used to call our tool swap. It is being refocused. It's going to be a woodworkers exposition, a woodworkers expo. And the committee that's been working on that is going to have a lot more emphasis on having exhibitors there with, commercial exhibitors with booths, and having quality presenters to come in and teach us a few things about woodworking that we might not already know. And then that will be followed up in November by the fall seminar, which is just in the planning stages now. And in between there, we'll have a bunch of great meetings. The program committee is gearing up pretty good these days. We acquired one new member here in the last 2 months. We could use one more person on that committee to help share the load. It takes quite a bit of time to generate the ideas for the meetings, and then a lot of time working on the logistics and all the planning and having that happen. And so we'd like enough people on the committee so nobody has to do more than 2 programs a year. General announcements. Those of you who were at the tool swap and the Northern Wood Show noticed that a lot of the guild members were wearing really nice dark green polo shirts with the guild's logo on them. We have a lot of those shirts available. Roger Christofferson, one of our board members, took on that activity, and we're selling them to general membership for $25 each. You can just contact Roger. His contact information is on the contacts page of our website. And once we go back to live meetings, Roger will be lugging those shirts around, maybe forever. I did that myself about 10 years ago, and it took a long time, but we got rid of those shirts. Another thing we got going on here, one of our board members, Amos Kidron, came up with the idea that we really ought to establish some sort of small working groups where people who have shared interests can get together and work on projects. We sent out a survey. A number of people indicated they were, we sent out a notice. A number of people indicated they were interested. We sent a survey to those people to get a better idea of what might interest them and how they might want to interact with it. And we just got those results in here a couple of weeks ago. So we're going to be getting together with those folks, probably on a Zoom meeting in the next 2 months, and try to further develop this, this idea. Tonight, we're going to have a presentation from one of the recipients of the tuition grants that we granted in 2020. And we didn't do it in 2021 because of the pandemic, but we did open up the tuition grants program once again. We sent out an email here a few months ago. Take a look at it. I think we'll be sending out a reminder because the response has not been overwhelming. We need applications turned in by February 28th. And then the board of directors will review those and select 2 members who will be recipients of each $1,000 scholarship. We are desperately trying to put our meetings on YouTube. The last 2 meetings have been technical failures, partly due to my inexperience with different systems, and partly due to some other problems. But at least tonight, this meeting is being recorded. If you look at your screen, there'll be a little red recording button flashing in the upper left corner. We'll get that downloaded after the meeting and edit out the bad parts, and then get that posted on our YouTube channel. And that will be accompanied by an email letting everybody know that it's out there. And with that, that's all of the announcements. We're down to the what's on your bench segment here. I haven't seen any chats of anybody who has anything, but one of our members, Doug Perlick, and I know Doug is on. I saw him signed in earlier. Doug has been working actually for quite a few months on developing a very simple and easy to use sanding block. And Doug doesn't have video capabilities, so he asked me if I could share this with you. So I'll try to do that here. This is a sanding block. As you can see, it's made out of pine. It's got a quarter, it's made for a quarter sheet of sandpaper. It's got 150 grit on it. It's a very interesting design. You take the 2 halves and well, I guess you should see that, okay? So you take the 2 pieces and you slide them apart. They're held together here with a tapered dovetail. It's coming through okay.
Yeah.
And you just take the sandpaper and you fold the edges around, the quarter sheet of sandpaper, fold the edges around here, put the two pieces together, slide it together, and they lock really tight. He gave me one of these several months ago. I've been using it. I went and took an extra step here and I put a nice chamfer on the edges here. Makes it a little bit more comfortable for the hand. But anyway, Doug has begun the process of manufacturing these. And if you're interested in trying one out, you should give Doug a call. His telephone number is 763-312-0718. That's 763-312-0718. And Doug's a friendly guy. He won't bite your neck off or anything. And he'd be interested in providing you with some of these. All right, with all that being said, I would like to turn this over to one of our program committee members who is responsible for this meeting, and that's Mr. Dan Burks. So Dan, take it away.
Thank you, Ed. As Ed mentioned, our speakers tonight are Cindy Darwin and Roger Knudsen. Cindy was the recipient of the tuition grant program sponsored by the Guild, in which she applied her proceeds to a 2-week program at the Center for Furniture Craftsmanship in Rockport, Maine. Cindy grew up in Minnesota and moved to Colorado with her husband, where they raised their 4 children. And after that job was done, she returned to Minnesota. They returned to Minnesota, and she started applying her lifelong interest in woodworking. She's worked on, she started that after retiring 4 years ago, and started working on her kitchen cabinets for the home, a day bed, and other projects around the house. Her skills grew as Roger and her embarked on a mentor relationship, and she has been working on more advanced pieces like a floor lamp, a quartine chair, a wine glass holder, and other projects, and including the Steamwood bent chair that she's working on, and which she started working on at the Center for Furniture Craftsmanship. With that, I will turn it over to Cindy and let her detail her experiences at the CFC and the challenges and the design of her chair. Cindy.
Hi, thanks for the introduction. Yes, I was the 2020 Minnesota Woodworker Guild recipient, where as soon as I got registered for the class and my living arrangements for there, then of course everything got canceled because of COVID. So that gave me a lot of experience on how to do that. So I got to do it again the next year. Luckily for me, they had the same instructors at the Center for Furniture Craftsmanship that I originally wanted to take. Yuri Kobayashi and Seth Rowland were the instructors for that class, and it was, they're such awesome woodworkers. They both have websites that you can view their work, and we were really lucky in having them be our instructors. I've got some pictures I'd like to share with those, but I did want to thank the Guild for the opportunity to have the scholarship and to encourage other people to apply, because it's a great opportunity.
It's $1,000.
It's $1,000. Yes, and Roger was the person who has been to this Center for Furniture Craftsmanship and recommended that I go out there for a class because it was so good. And we were lucky. Roger and I met at Community Band in our area. We've both been members of that organization for a number of years. And so we got to know each other, and I knew that he was a great woodworker. And so I asked him when I was wanting to, after I retired and wanted to expand my skills, where I would go take classes, and he offered to have me come on out. So we've been doing Wednesday mornings for coming on 3 years. I'm thinking, I don't know, long time, but so we have, I've been lucky and able to learn through that process as well. So now I'm going to show you some of the pictures. We had, oh dear, is this right? Oh, sure.
iPhone.
Here, this one.
There you go.
Okay.
Good.
And then, I'm going to show you some pictures of, on a daily basis at the school. We had demonstrations from each of the instructors every day, and then free time to either practice the skills that they taught us or work on our own project. So either way. So this is, I'm just going to click through
There it is. There it is.
maybe some of the skills that Seth, you probably recognize him from, he taught a class for the guild one year,
Fall seminar.
a fall seminar. Yep. This is where they were, this is part of the steam box there, and we either steamed the wood prior to or soaked it in a water solution and just in a trough, like I'm sure you've all done. So just some different ideas on what you can do to bend the wood. And this is the steam box we used. It was 63 inches long. This is a double bending inch by, I don't know if you can. So it was just a process of them.
Oh, that's Yuri.
Yes, Yuri Kobayashi is bending it there in blue, and Seth is helping her, and also our assistant for the class was helping there. Use Charlie. This is a double bending project, and just an example of one of the things that they did. This project here is a sample of what Yuri does with a lot of her articles that she makes, is a double bending, where she has a double, she just has a double bending and twisting, and it's just really interesting to how she does it. So while we were getting these demonstrations, and we also got to have time to work on our own projects. I was working on, sometimes I would work on the skills that we learned in the demonstration, or sometimes I was working on my forms, the model and the forms. This piece right here is a demonstration of bending 2-inch white ash that was steamed. And so it was quite a dramatic arch, real tight bend. Yeah. And so it was something that even Yuri said, I've got to work with this white ash. It's really fun because it works so well. It's such a nice straight grain, and it gave such a good end product. It didn't split out, and it didn't kink, and it had lots of good qualities. One of the good things about working in a class with people at a school is that you get to also see what the other classmates are working on and the problems that they deal with their projects, and learn from that as well. This is another twisting piece of wood, a different way to do it, different projects, different end products that you can do. We had all kinds of different things that we were doing. Yuri also then taught us how to cooper, and coopering is a really advanced curving project. And so there's a lot. What's indicated here is the angle that you have to put it through the planer. So they had jigs to be able to do that with. This is what we were starting. You'll see that there's a coopered little piece on the right-hand side there on that project.
Cindy, we had a question. Is this the curvature class?
Yes, it is.
Thank you.
Yes, it was. Yes. Yes. There was a lot of equipment. They had a whole big machine room at the school that has all the equipment that you need to use. And they have wood that's available there for you to buy, or if you wanted to bring your own wood, you were able to do that as well. Now this is when this is my project, and so I was able to get some of the ash that they had drying there. They had some available, and so I decided that was a good wood to make my chair out of. That I had the idea that I wanted to do. And one of the things that you'll see on this is also a double bend, where it's this is the back of the chair, so it had a large arc on the top, and then we wanted to on the ends we wanted to lift them up so that we could have the, you know, for the chair back, so that you have some ergonomics there. So and this is another example of how you can curve wood, not necessarily bending it, but curving. But that's brick style,
Bricklaying.
brick, yeah, that Seth did. So, and this is a drying rack. So I'm sure you're all know all that. At the end of each class, at the end of the 2-week class, they had a kind of a show and tell. So, and they did that with all their classes. So everybody from the school and the director would come, and you could tell people there what you had worked on, what skills you were going to do, and what you're going to do with those skills. So I thought that was a good way to end it. There.
You want to click to your chair now, or are you?
Oh, yes. Should you would like to see my chair? All right. So let's see. How do I?
Come down here.
I don't know.
Whoops. And how do we get out of?
How do we get out of sharing? Okay, double click out here maybe.
Click on the share screen again.
Yeah, I've lost
Pull
my.
up here maybe. Stop share.
There.
Okay.
There you go.
Okay.
No.
So that Roger and I have been working on the chair. He's got a steam box, and I also, one of the problems that we had was when you have a piece of wood that's longer than your steam box, there's an option for you to be able to use a double poly sleeve, connect it to the end with your wallpaper steamer, and drape it over a couple of sawhorses with your piece in it. And so that's how we did the chair back, which was 84 inches long. So this is the chair that I think, if you can see it, it's got 2 bent arms and a bent back. And we're working on joints and what kind of a base we're going to use for the chair seat. So that's the extent of my
That's it.
presentation. I don't know if you, I was really thankful for this opportunity, and I just want you to know that a big part of taking a class is working with like-minded people, and being able to
You can sit down.
just have just getting to know people from all over the country. I was the only person there from Minnesota, and the only woman in the class besides our Yuri, the instructor. So that was, it was, but there was only 10 people in this class, and it was, so it was small, and we got lots of personal attention, and it was very much worth it. I would recommend it. Felt a little out of my league for a while, thinking that was a way to, wasn't sure what I was doing there, but I learned a lot. So, and I learned a lot about how to work through all that. So,
Question here just came in, Cindy. How much woodworking knowledge do you feel you have to have before attending the school?
you know, I worried about that before I went out. And what I found was that even within the 10 people that we had, there was a range of everything from not very much knowledge to a lot of knowledge. So it really doesn't matter as long as you can work with the tools and work with what you want to accomplish. And there's no expectation from the instructors of what you're going to know. So it was good to learn. I had to learn that. And so it was, I think that it's not something that should hinder people from attending, I guess, is what I would recommend.
Very good. Any other questions from the audience? Just write a chat in here, please. Question came up. Would you attend again?
Would I attend again? That is a good question. One of the one of the drawbacks is that they don't have a place to stay, and so having places to go, and Maine's a long ways away, and having having done it once before, I know now what the options are. It would be a little bit easier, but yes, I would if I had the opportunity.
Tell them how you stay.
We decided that we were going to camp for 2 weeks. So we had a tent and we had a van, but our van is just a caravan. So we didn't stay in the van. They had, when we were there, they had the first hurricane that hit Rockport that they have had in 30 years. So thank you very much. That was exciting. And, but there was a number of options. I talked to a lot of the attendees, the classmates that I have, what the options were, what they were staying and what they were doing. So it really ranged from a lot of either staying in, camping like we did, or staying in a, there's a number of options. You can stay in a room in a house there, or the school can help with that as well. But it was just a real new experience for us.
Very fine. Question came in, what material is your chair?
It is also white ash. I bought a nice big piece when I was out there, and air dried white ash. That's right. And that's a big part of that whole bending, is having air dried wood. Makes a big difference.
One of our other members, Steve McClune, he's on, and he's taken the curvature course out there. He recommends that if you're going to consider something like that, you might want to take their basic woodworking course first.
And I would agree with that. I think that working with Roger for the number of years that I've worked with him, I was able to feel like I had that already. And so I guess I would agree with that. I should have said that. Yeah, that's
Well,
right.
that's good. That's good.
Yeah.
We're all glad that you've had that experience.
Yes.
Another question came in. What were the daily hours of the class like? Was it 5 days a week, evening homework? What kind of stuff?
It was 9 to 5 every day. The school and the shop were open 24/7. They did require that you didn't work alone. So you had to have a buddy there if you were going to work outside of 9 to 5. The instructors were always there from 9 to 5. And that pertained to weekends as well. They didn't really give homework. I would say that most of the demonstrations were just what you wanted to get out of it. If you wanted to practice some of those skills with the tools or the equipment that they had there. So it was 9 to 5 is what the hours of
Monday
the
through
class
Friday.
were. Monday through Friday. Yes, Monday through Friday.
But it's open.
And it was a two-week class. So the weekends were off. But a lot of the people went on the weekends as well to work out in the shop.
And another question here, is your chair laminated or is it a solid steam bent?
It's a
Construction.
solid steam bent, 2 inch by 1 inch by 1 3/4. So it's, yeah. So it's solid.
Any other questions? While Cindy was talking, I took the liberty to look at my other machine over here, and I was checking on how many applications we have for this remarkable scholarship program that we're offering. And I'm quite disappointed to explain that we have none. So
Oh,
please, if you want to go to a school and learn some skills similar to what Cindy has done and be $1,000 richer in your pocket, go to our website and take a look at the tuition grant program and send in an application.
I have a question for Cindy. What did it cost you all told for the transportation, lodging, meals, tuition, the whole thing,
the whole thing.
including your $1,000?
Well, the class was 1,500. The camping was about 500. So then you have to figure the gas and meals and all that going. Yeah. So whatever you do, we ate a lot of around the campfire, so to speak, and we ate, and you eat out a lot. But I guess I didn't do a total because we traveled after, so it's hard to. We were gone for a whole month. We traveled then afterwards too. So to see Maine and to see, and we went south and we just did, yeah, we didn't just stay there. So made it a whole big outing. Yes. To see the East Coast. I hadn't really seen the East Coast very much at all. So it was very fun. Good experience. So now it's Roger's turn.
Yeah, Dan, go ahead and introduce Roger, please.
Well, that's a feat in itself to introduce Roger. Roger has been a longtime member of the Guild and a longtime contributor of the Guild as well. He has sponsored many of the Northern Woods expositions by providing gifts to winning entrants of the show. Roger has also participated in the Northern Woods by putting pieces in the show, many of which have garnered attention and of quite interest. They're very creative pieces. Roger is a very creative person, and his sense of humor is very creative. And I think he's just an all-around great guy. He, in his real life, his professional life, he worked as a corrections counselor in the prison system. I'm not sure if it's state or federal. And with that, I'll just let Roger speak and tell us about his experiences mentoring, and let it go from there. Roger.
All right, thanks, Dan. I've been creative in getting a hell of a cold, so pardon my voice here. I was masked up so I don't infect Cindy too much. Yeah, my background was in corrections education, so I like to teach, or whatever you call it, or mentor. And as mentioned by Cindy, we met at the Moose Lake Community Band, where we have been playing for the last number of years. Cindy plays the clarinet and she's good, and I play at the flute. So years ago, she said, "Would you show me how to sharpen a chisel?" I said, "Sure, come on down." So about 6 years later, she finally came down. And she and her husband bought a shed. They wired it, they insulated it, they put heat in it, and she started building her shop and doing woodwork and coming down here Wednesdays. I was going to say, though, that part of my teaching was at the women's Correctional Facility in Shakopee. And I was going to say that's where I met Cindy, but that's not true. She was there before I was, or I don't know. But she comes down Wednesday mornings. It's not a very formal arrangement. We just say that's a good time, Wednesday from 9 to noon. It's good for her and good for me. And I think there's this thing about, I just look at teaching skills. If you're going to mentor somebody, you want to think about how that person learns, and you learn that by interacting with them. It's a great way to develop a relationship. I mean, my gosh, it's one-on-one, and then followed up with my wife Cheryl and Cindy and me drinking the beer that she brings down every week. Now, I don't charge for this, but as long as she keeps bringing beer, she can just keep on coming. So, and there's a couple of things I have that in my background. I like the saying, nothing succeeds like success. And so as a teacher or as a mentor, I really work at pointing out achievements, pointing out success, and they might be just little ones, like you put the chisel right in the groove before you whacked it with the mallet, or always trying to look for the positive. It's too easy to say, no, not that, no, not that way, not that way. The second thing, it's in my shop, and I have a rule that the fingers have to remain on the ends of your hands at all times. And safety, she uses my safety techniques. When she goes home to her shop, she can do whatever she wants. And I hope that the safety things I teach her that she uses, and so far, her fingers have remained on the ends of her hands at all times. So we started out, I'm actually working with 3 different people, Cindy and a couple of other local guys. We started out with Cindy with some basic joinery, a mortise and tenon and a lap joint and some dovetails. And I had her make each of those by machine and by hand. So to get some hand skills started and to know that you can do many of these things with hand tools. The other thing I tried to do is we use my machines, but I tried not to have Cindy use machines that she doesn't have at home, because it's easy to do it on Roger's big old planer jointer, but when she goes home, what's she going to do? So we try to adapt the instruction to the tool collection that she has in her own shop, and that makes it handier. Also, Cindy was starting up a shop and buying tools. It's easy for an old guy like me to say, go buy all these snazzy tools. And like some of you, or most of you perhaps, you've built up your shop collection of tools over time and bought up and bought up and bought up again to better quality tools as you go. And it's good to help someone like Cindy, who's not really loaded with money, not even the $1,000. I think that got spent. To buy tools that you can afford, that are good quality, and not necessarily go the whole hog and get the handmade planes that cost $2,000 a piece. So that's something to be aware of. And then I also I push my own woodworking philosophy, take it or leave it, but I believe that for me, if I can think it up, I can build it. And I'm pushing that on Cindy too. And that means I can think up a lot of wild stuff. And if I don't know how to build it, then the challenge is to go find out, either with your own techniques, trial and error, or calling up a buddy. And I always mention this to the Guild guys. Guild members are really happy to help with any problem I've ever had. I call friends. I call friends and tell them what I'm doing and get advice on how to proceed. And so I try not to get the people I'm working with, get them stuck in learning all of their ABCs before they can make anything. I said, start making stuff, start making some sawdust, and we'll figure it out if you run into a problem. Now, some of the people, the other two guys I'm working with, they all have their own approach, and it's different from Cindy's. So my approach to them has to be different as well. One guy wants to just tear off and start building a big workbench, and he's looking at books and stuff. And when he runs into a problem, he calls and we work it out. Another guy I work with is probably listening, is very careful, very planful, will draw out his stuff to the T on graph paper and know exactly what he's going to make. And he does that kind of work as well. It's disgusting. It's perfect. I don't like working with those people. Which brings up the other thing is we learn with mistakes. And Cindy hasn't learned yet all the mistakes I've made, but she's catching up with
I'm catching up, yeah.
I've made a whole lot of them. So I just can say that mentoring a person and stuff is really fun for me. And if you like working with other people, it's a great way to build a relationship. And it's nice to see progress. And I've seen a lot of progress with Cindy. I happened to clear out some wood and some curved scraps I'd cut off of something else. And she took them home and made this cool stuff out of them. And I think, all right, that's really, really satisfying to see that. So that's my spiel for tonight. Yeah, I'll take any questions. It's my great voice here. Sorry.
I don't have a question for you, Roger, but I would like to expand on what you mentioned about members of the Guild being willing to help. Of course, in these few months here where we're not having face-to-face meetings, you can't just walk up to somebody at a meeting and talk to them. But we do have a great feature that we started here about a year and a half ago. It's called our group email system, groups.io. And you can find that on our homepage. It's near the bottom of the list of features on the left side of the homepage. If you have to subscribe to this, and we monitor the traffic, make sure things are appropriate for woodworking. But if you click on that link, it'll tell you how to subscribe if you aren't already a subscriber, and you can pose questions directly to a small portion of the Guild who are active in this groups.io thing, and that's really very helpful.
Yeah, that it is helpful, and I, there's certain individuals I tend to go back to, and we hook up a lot with each of our work, and it's just extremely valuable. And it's I'm a man, I don't follow directions, and I know what I'm doing. Well, you get over that pretty soon.
Okay, well, I don't see any questions coming through here on the chat. Does anybody have something they want to ask Roger? They can go ahead and unmute themselves one at a time. I don't see anything coming through. Well, I think with that,
I have a question for Roger.
very fine.
We ate lunch at the fall seminar outside, and you invited me to come up to your shop,
Yes.
and I'll bring my cross-country skis. Is there a good time for you?
I need 3 more days to heal from this cold.
Oh yeah, I'm working with an Afghan refugee family right now, so I'm really busy. But I'd love to come up and see your shop, and because you're very close to where my dad had his place up by Finlayson.
That's right. And just call to make sure I'm going to be here. by the way, this is my 42nd or 43rd year of training up from the Vassalopet in Mora. So I got to get out there and get fit. I got so fit, I got sick, I guess. But yeah, just call and we'll make a time.
Okay, thank you so much.
Love to see
That
it.
was generous offer from you.
Oh, I love to show off my shop. People say, oh, geez, you got to do the whole furniture tour in his house and see all the tools. Oh, man. But it's fun. I like it.
Okay, maybe I'll come up when Cindy's there because she was at
Okay,
lunch
good.
also.
Yeah, that'd be a Wednesday morning.
Yep.
Okay,
Not this week, but next.
Yeah,
okay.
not this week.
Thanks, Lawrence.
Thank you.
Anyone else?
Ed, I'd like to kind of expand on what Cindy said about don't feel that you're not qualified to take a class, because I took a class down at Mark Adams this summer, and I was definitely the least experienced person in the class. But there was no shame in that. That everyone, Steve Latta was the teacher, and of course he's a wonderful guy. And everyone in the class was very supportive and helpful when I didn't know what was going on, and they took time out to help me out. So don't let that be a hindrance if you don't think you're qualified to take a class, because that's what they're there for.
I second that notion. I do think that Center for Furniture Craftsmanship does state in each course description if they're looking for beginners or intermediates or some experience, what have you. So, I mean, if you've never cut a joint before, probably don't go take curvature right off the bat. Like I said, you take the basic course. But if you've got some experience and know your way around the shop a little bit, most of the classes will take you in and you won't be at sea.
We have a question that's come through. It doesn't have anything to do with tonight's program, but Tom Goodman, who's one of the hard workers that helped put together our last tool swap, is looking for a source for wooden table slides for a dining table. Tom, I can tell you from experience, there's several places you can go to. One is Osborne Wood Products. Another one is, I can't remember the exact name, but it's it's a site that has the name Amish in it. And they sell really nice wood slides. I purchased some here a few years ago, some 20 footers, five section wooden slides. They work.
My suggestion is just go make your own.
Yeah.
That's a source. It's a great skill to learn, let me tell you.
Yeah. You probably don't want to do it at a dining room table right away, but just make some slides.
There we go.
So I hope that helps, Tom. Just do a Google search for wooden table slides, and you'll find several good sources.
Tom's not going to ask me any more questions, that's for sure.
All right, anyone else? This is kind of a short program, but Cindy had an opportunity to explain what she was doing. And I think, Roger, you did a nice job of explaining how you and Cindy have been working together. I hope that gives some of our members some ideas that they can go help some friend of theirs learn about woodworking. Dave Olson wants to know, what was the joinery that you use in your chair, Cindy?
Well, we're working on the joinery right now, and we have half lap
Point them out, I think.
for the back. We have half laps right here.
Can you see?
I don't know if you can see.
Yeah.
Okay, right there. We haven't glued them yet. That's why they're clamped, but it's really put a lot of strength and solidity in the chair right now. So I chiseled out on each on the arm and on the back so that so that they both have
A 1/4 inch deep
1/4 inch deep.
each.
Yeah. So that's the only joint that we've done so far, and we're working on on the other joints. We haven't quite gotten that far yet.
Just a general question for you, Cindy, having built a few chairs myself.
Yes.
Did you do any modeling to figure out if this is going to be comfortable when you get it finished?
Yeah, no, I haven't, but I'm thinking that that would be a good idea.
You did? You put some planks and boards up?
Well, that's true. That's true. I did do, yeah, Roger's reminding me that I did do, we got the angle that we wanted and we did put some planks and boards together and we have looked at a lot of chairs and we've looked at a lot of just ideas on what to do for that. I also have a call in to an upholsterer to help me with some of that. What he would suggest maybe of what we would need for when we need to doing the upholstery in the building process. So yes. And I did make a small model, not for the comfort, but just for the aesthetics and what I wanted to, how I wanted to do it when I had that out at the school. So,
Very good.
yeah. Yeah, chairs, I'm finding are very challenging. But it's going to be it's a good learning process. I'm happy that we're doing it.
Great.
Yes.
All right. There's nothing else coming through here. I suggest we call it an evening. And everybody put on their calendars Tuesday, February 8th will be our next meeting, the Zoom meeting. And that'll be members shop tours.
Okay.
Okay.
February 8th.
So with that
Bye-bye.
being said, I think we'll say goodnight.